Eric Wilfred Watson here, author of 3 novels including my latest, Death Siren, a novel that draws on my love of classic science fiction. I grew up devouring the works of legends like Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, Philip K. Dick. Asimov's Foundation series in particular blew my mind when I was younger for its grand scale. So when I finally picked up the novel Hyperion by Dan Simmons for the first time, yeah, I know I'm late to the party, but better late than never, I was hooked right from the jump. It's got an epic scope reminiscent of Asimov's sprawling universe, blended with a Philip K. Dick-like psychological twist, but Dan Simmons takes it to another level with a structure inspired by Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, while a group of pilgrims are on a journey to the planet Hyperion, each for a different reason, and they share their backstories. And folks, this book is a masterpiece, even with a few gripes that I have, which I'll get into. Spoilers ahead, consider yourself warned if you haven't read the book yet. Let's dive in with a quick overview. In a far future hegemony of man, where worlds are connected by farcasters, instantaneous portals that make interstellar travel feel like stepping through a door, godlike AIs in the technocore pull strings from the shadows, and humanity grapples with threats like the nomadic ousters, 7 pilgrims are chosen for a final pilgrimage to the time tombs of Hyperion. There, the enigmatic Shrike, a time-manipulating metallic monster covered in thorns that's part myth, part nightmare, awaits them. The Shrike will grant one of these pilgrims their wish while slaughtering the rest. As they travel, 6 out of them, the 7th, Hetmastine is mysteriously tight-lipped, recount their tales, each revealing why they're drawn to this suicidal quest. This framing device is brilliant, allowing Dan Simmons to weave a tapestry of interconnected stories that build upon the lore with each telling. Dan Simmons crafts a cosmos that's vast, lived in, and richly detailed. From the web of colonized planets with their unique cultures, histories, and technologies, to the quantum weirdness of the time tombs, which defy physics by moving backwards through time, the hegemony feels like a fragile empire on the brink, with farcasters linking everything in a way that's both convenient and ominously vulnerable, while the technocore's shadowy motives and the Shrike's cult add layers of intrigue. Every planet, they all feel distinct yet part of a cohesive whole, making you want to explore every corner. It's the kind of immersive universe that rivals galactic empires of the Foundation series, or the paranoid depth of Philip K. Dick's work. What I absolutely loved is how Simmons captures completely different tones as each pilgrim tells their story. Normally an inconsistent tone and lack of a main protagonist is a drawback in a novel. It can feel disjointed or sloppy, but here, it's deliberate and it's a massive strength. It's like reading an anthology within a novel, each shifting style, shifting voice, and genre, changing who the first person is, all keeps the reader on their toes. One story feels like horror, the other feels like a cyberpunk noir, yet they all tie back to the Hyperion's mystery. This purposeful tonal variety makes the book feel alive and unpredictable, which is excellent. It turns what I usually think is a flaw, an inconsistent tone, into a great asset. Starting with The Priest's Tale told by Father Lenar Hoyt, this one hit me really hard, and it's one of the best parts of the story. I love the religious intrigue. Hoyt recounts the story of Father Paul Duray, an exiled Jesuit Catholic priest who is banished to Hyperion after faking archaeological evidence and crash lands there, discovering the Baikura tribe. They are immortal thanks to some sort of cruciform parasite, a cross-shaped organism that resurrects them upon death, but erases their humanity upon repeated resurrections, turning them into a mindless, sexless, joyless, twisted people who follow a twisted religion and kill outsiders to protect their secret. Duray gets infected with a cruciform after he breaks their rules. They do that to him on purpose. Duray basically crucifies himself and dies over and over as this cruciform thing on his body brings him back over and over, painfully and horribly over the course of 7 years. Hoyt is sent to find Father Duray, and after their encounter, Duray finally dies after passing on the cruciform. But the tone here is somber, philosophical, intriguing, deeply religious, exploring faith, immortality, and the cost of seeking eternal life. It's profound with big ideas that linger with questions that remain unanswered by the end. Of course, we hope to find out more of those answers later in the book. Then we get The Soldier's Tale, which I found rather interesting as well. And we do get a little bit more lore of Hyperion with that telling. But probably my favorite is the third one, The Poet's Tale, The Tale of Martin Silenus. It's a wild ride. This is a standout. It's genuinely hilarious in spots. Silenus is a foul-mouthed, centuries-old person who spins tales about his life. Born on old Earth before the destruction by an artificial black hole, he becomes a hack writer. After his book of poetry fails to sell anything, he becomes a hack writer, writing schlock stories about the old dying Earth that make him quite wealthy, but he hates the books that he's writing. It's equal parts absurd and tragic. The tone is satirical, laugh out loud funny in parts, but it's ultimately tragic. Then we get The Scholar's Tale, which is interesting. It's about a Jewish family with a daughter who starts aging in reverse after she visits the time tombs. And of course, they are desperate to find a way to reverse the cause. They go to the Shrike Church, they implore the media, the government, and no matter what they do, no matter what they try, the daughter keeps aging in reverse, losing memories until she reverts back to an infant. The father brings his daughter on this quest in hopes that somehow the Shrike can reverse this. It's very tragic, but very interesting. Then we get Braun Lamia's Detective Tale, a cyberpunk noir mystery where an AI says that he was murdered because his consciousness ended, they erase some memories, and then he was reconstituted, but apparently not quite as the same AI. So he wants his own murder investigated. Finally, The Council's Tale, an unnamed diplomat reveals his past romance with a rebel named Siri, and his role sparking a war with the Ousters. Once all of their stories are told, save for the one that wouldn't tell a story, and the guy actually goes missing. Nobody knows if he's dead or alive, but they find a bunch of blood. It's kind of an interesting thing that happens, but we don't really get a full resolution. The book ends in a cliffhanger, which is completely frustrating. Once I had just a little handful of pages left, I'm thinking to myself, no way can they resolve all of this book in the few pages that I have left. And unfortunately, that was true. The book just kind of stops. I will be diving right into the sequel, Fall of Hyperion, to get those answers. If you're a classic science fiction lover like me, do yourself a favor and read these books if you haven't done so already. At least the first one, I genuinely liked Hyperion. I'm frustrated by the cliffhanger, and it's not just a cliffhanger. All of these stories get a cliffhanger because it's multiple tales that you don't get the resolution for. But it's worth reading because those tales are fascinating, and how they connect with each other is quite brilliant. Each character has their own unique voice, which I absolutely love. And if you're looking for something else to read, time for a shameless self-promotion. If you go to ericwilfredwatson.com, you can read the first part of my novel Death Siren for free, and if you like what you read, you can buy the book at amazon.com. Drop your comments down below. Did you read Hyperion? What did you think of the book? Any other suggestions of old sci-fi books that I should dig up? Until next time, folks, Eric Wilfred Watson signing out.